welcome to my YouTube channel, my remote U class. Hope you are all fine and doing great. Today I shall take class on human excretion. Earlier I took classes on nutrition as well as on human digestive system, which are all included under life processes in chapter number 6. So let's start. So what is excretion? It is actually the removal of nitrogenous substances from our body, and the system which helps in the excretion is known as the excretory system. Now, what are our excretory organs? You all know that kidney is the primary excretory organ, but apart from kidney, there are lungs, skin, liver, which all help in excretion. And this is the structure of our excretory system. Our excretory system consists of a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureters which has come out from the kidneys, and they reach the bladder. This is the urinary bladder, and this urinary bladder passes out the urine through urethra to the outside. And there are also vena cava as well as the aorta. The aorta supplies the oxygenated blood to the kidneys, and the vena cava carries away the deoxygenated blood from the kidneys. Now these kidney are bean-shaped structures which are present on the both sides of our spinal column, and both the kidneys are not on the same level. The left kidney is situated slightly higher than the right one. This is due to the position of the liver in the right side of our body, and each kidney is around 4 to 5 inches long, roughly the size of a large fist, and the renal arteries supply blood to the kidneys, and the renal veins carry away blood from the kidneys. Now each kidney consists of structural and functional units which are all microscopic. These are the filtration units. These are actually known as the nephrons. So nephrons are nothing but the structural and functional units of our kidneys. Each kidney contains around 1 million nephron. And this is the cross section. This is actually the longitudinal cross section of our human kidney, and you can see that the left side picture, there is a covering surrounding the kidney. This covering is actually has 3 layers. The outermost layer is known as the renal fascia, and the middle one is known as the perirenal fat capsule, and the third one is the innermost layer, that is the renal capsules. So whatever it may be, it consists of 3 layers. As I said, the outermost layer is known as the renal fascia, the middle one is known as the perirenal fat capsule, and the third one is known as the renal capsule. Now internally the kidney has 3 regions. What are these 3 regions? These 3 regions are the outer cortex region. Here is the cortex region, and then the middle one, this is the medullary region, and the third one, this is the concave area. This is also known as the pelvic region or the hilum region, from which you can see this number 7, that is the ureter has come out from this hilum region. So internally we can also divide the kidney into 3 parts. The outer one is the cortex one, the middle one is the medulla one, and the third one is the pelvic or the hilum region. Now here you can see in the outer periphery there are lots of arteries and veins are present with a rich blood supply, and they have also come out inside. Here you can see all the branches have come inside also, and there are pyramidal structures in the medullary regions. These are actually known as the renal pyramids. They are 8 in numbers in each kidney, and this pyramid has the renal lobes. Renal lobes are actually nothing but the renal pyramid and renal cortex. That means this area as well as this area togetherly known as the renal lobes, and in between the pyramid there are column-like structures. These are column-like structures. These are known as the renal columns, which have rich blood supply, and inner part are known as the renal papilla. That means these areas are known as the renal papilla or renal papillary regions. These are the renal papilla. Renal papillas open into the hilum region, and from where the urine got collected and passes out through the ureter. This cortex area is granular in nature due to the presence of nephrons, which are nothing but the structural and functional units of our kidney. Now this is the structure of our nephron. and you can see that there is a blood capillary present inside a cup-like structure. This cup-like structure is known as the Bowman's capsule, and this rich blood capillary or the cluster of blood capillary is known as the glomerular. This is the capillary network. Then this Bowman's capsule leads to a convoluted tubule known as the proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal, why it is called proximal? Because it is present near the Bowman's capsule. This is also known as PCT in short. Then it comes down and forms a U-like structure. This U-like structure is known as the loop of Henle. You can see that the loop of Henle has two arms. One arm is going down, this is known as the loop of Henle, and another part goes up, this is known as the ascending loop of Henle, and then it again gets convoluted distally. This is known as the distal convoluted tubule, and which is finally gets connected with a collecting duct. This is the collecting duct. So what happens is this rich blood capillary has two veins. One is known as the efferent arteriole, which is narrow in comparison to the other one, which is known as the afferent arteriole, which is wider in nature. This structure helps in ultrafiltration. There are three main functions of nephron. Number one, ultrafiltration. Number two, reabsorption. And number three, tubular secretion. Here in this picture you can see that several functions of the nephrons are taking place in various areas of nephron. For example, the ultrafiltration taking place in Bowman's capsule. The selective reabsorption is taking place in proximal tubule. The osmoregulation is happening in loop of Henle. Selective reabsorption is happening in distal tubule, and in collecting duct the osmoregulation or the water retention is taking place. So what is ultrafiltration? This is the first part of the function of nephron. Now, due to the pressure, the liquid part of the blood which filters out from the glomerulus and passes into the Bowman's capsule is known as the ultrafiltration. That means this is a filtration which is taking place under extraordinary force. Now, when the filtrate comes down to the proximal convoluted tubule, then some of the substances that are filtered into the renal capsule need to be retained by the body. This is known as selective reabsorption. Amino acids, glucose, fructose, as well as sodium ion, potassium ion, calcium ion, bicarbonate ion and chloride ion are reabsorbed by active transport and co-transport out of the proximal convoluted tubule by the epithelial cells. Now, 50% of urea is also reabsorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule. Now, after the proximal convoluted tubule, the loop of Henle is present. The loop of Henle has two arms. One is called the descending loop of Henle, this one which is coming down, and another one is going up, that is the ascending loop of Henle. Now, both these loops have different functions. The function of the loop of Henle is to maintain the hypertonic conditions in the medulla. And what happens, this ascending limb is impermeable to water but permeable to salts, whereas the descending limb is highly permeable to water with reabsorption occurs passively. Thereby it helps in osmoregulation. And finally, the tubular secretion. Now, tubular secretion is the transfer of materials from peritubular capillaries. You know, the peritubular capillaries are nothing but the capillaries surrounding the nephron to the renal tubular lumen. It is the opposite process of reabsorption. This secretion is caused mainly by active transport and passive diffusion, removes additional wastes from the blood and adds to the filtrate. These are the substances which get secreted: phenol, red, creatinine, steroid, choline, histamine, potassium ion, hydrogen ion, etc. And finally, the collecting duct. The collecting duct system is the last part of the nephron and participates in electrolyte and fluid balance through reabsorption and excretion processes regulated by the hormones aldosterone and vasopressin, that is the antidiuretic hormone, that is also known as the ADH hormone. ADH is secreted from the posterior end of the pituitary gland, and it regulates the volume of urine passed through the collecting duct to the ureter. Finally, the hemodialysis. When the kidneys have failed, then we use a machine to filter and clean blood. Blood is pumped out of the body to the machine where it is passed through a series of tiny tubes in an artificial kidney or dialyzer. Now it helps to remove the waste products, excess fluid and sodium ion, potassium ion. When there is kidney disease or there is kidney failure, the doctor suggests for hemodialysis. It is also used to remove poison and drugs from our body. To do this, doctors create arteriovenous graft as well as arteriovenous fistula. And finally, we shall discuss about the hemodialysis. If the kidneys have failed and then we have to use a machine to filter and clean our blood, so this machine is known as the hemodialyzer and this process is known as the hemolysis. Now actually what happens, the blood is pumped out of our body to the machine where it is passed through a series of tiny tubes in an artificial kidney or dialyzer. So it helps to remove the waste products, excess fluid and the sodium ion and the potassium ion. When there is kidney disease or kidney failure, doctors suggest it. It is also used to remove poison and drugs from our body. Dialyzer machine is the machine which cleans our blood outside our body. So to do this, doctors create arteriovenous graft as well as arteriovenous fistula. And here in this picture you can see the plastic graft has been inserted in between the vein as well as the artery. And fistula is another thing which is a connector made between an artery and a vein in the arm. Now the two needles are inserted inside the AV fistula or the graft and the blood will slowly move to the dialyzer. Inside the dialyzer, blood will move to the fibers as well as to a liquid called dialysate. The fiber will remove the excess fluid and electrolyte from the blood, and finally the filtered blood will go to the body through another tube. Here is the picture taken from the NCERT book. Here you can see that there are two channels have come out. One carrying the impure blood, that is blood with waste products, to a pump, and then this blood go to the series of tubes and which are bathed in dialyzing solution which has the same osmotic pressure with the blood, and then the impurities has been deposited here. Here you can see the urea and as well as the excess salts get deposited, and then these tubes, actually the selectively permeable membranes which filter the impurities from the blood, and the fresh blood again goes to this channel to the patient. So one line is coming from the artery to the pump and another line from apparatus to the vein. So this is all about the hemodialysis. If you have any problem, then do comment in the comment section box and I shall definitely reply to your question. And if you like my video, then do share, comment and like my video. Thank you.